Herman Mashaba, it's so good to see you. You weren't at the last BizNews conference, but you're coming to the next one.
Absolutely, and I watch some of the presentations. Obviously, I'm biased with Athol Trollip. I mean, Athol really was the Athol I'm so proud to be associated with. You know, when I took a chance beginning of this year to call Athol to say, Athol, have you done enough? Because I thought it would tell me to go to hell. But I'm really so proud of my association.
And he told us that at the conference. Yeah, he said at the conference he'd had enough of politics. He wasn't coming back in. And then Herman looked at me and said, but have you done enough? And he said, well, probably not. And so here he is. What a find. I think exposing him to that kind of community, exposing him to South Africa, 24,000 people have watched that video now, the recording. He's someone who's going to play a role in future, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, you know, Alec, if you look at where our country is, and right now we're at what's the stage 6 of load shedding, with the president and the political party with absolutely no plan whatsoever, and with the possibility of going to 7 and 8. So it's really very scary. And if you look at how much money was pumped into Eskom the last few years, ever since load shedding started. And actually, as I've been saying to South Africans the last few days, that, you know, when our new government took over and started expanding electricity distribution throughout the country, it's something that we celebrated. But one thing that they forgot, I don't know if they forgot or they did not have the idea. I think they did not have the idea that, you know, it's well and good you can provide all South Africans with electricity, which is a good thing to do and it must be celebrated. But electricity generation doesn't come from God or from just singing and whatever. You need to ensure that your main electricity supply is upgraded. And that's something that this government actually had no idea. They thought they would just go around providing electricity to everyone, expanding it. But they missed a very, very important factor. And actually what is said about it is that with Eskom, they did not just really forget about it. They actually looted it. They really looted it like the hyenas really looking at an animal, they're hungry. They went for it like, hungry animals. And that's really quite unfortunate. You know, I've got cases in our communities, in Hammanskraal, where obviously I was born and raised. In my brother's house in Hammanskraal, can you believe it? You've got 2 tenderpreneurs over the last 28 years put in 2 different water pipes. When they happen, no, it's not a joke. It's actually a reality, and it's not just in my in the community, and it's more than one village. Hammanskraal has got lots of villages. What happens when the new South Africa came? They started supplying, they brought in water. I grew up going to fetch water, sometimes stealing it from Steenkamp's farm in the middle of the night. So New South Africa came, we were excited. People of Ramote started getting water in each household. But a few years down the line, the taps ran dry. And then a few years later, a tenderpreneur got the tender to fix. What he did, brought in a new pipe, but with no actual source of where the water came from.
No,
this is
just
not
a pipe with nothing going through it.
Yeah, no, nothing to. Yeah, no. I can take you there.
That's insane.
Not in one village, not in two villages.
This ANC, just bringing it back to where we are at the moment, and clearly when you started, I remember you got very angry. You said we've got to get rid of the ANC. This week in Knysna, they've taken over the Knysna municipality from the DA and the PA.
Yeah, I heard about it.
But the thing, I wrote about it this morning, that really shocked me was the first thing they did was they appointed 6 new people at high salaries to help the politicians who should be there to serve the community. So all they've done by taking over this new municipality, thanks to Gayton McKenzie, hope he's not a friend of yours, but my goodness, to do this, to throw away the majority ruling in Knysna, hand it back to the ANC, the first thing they do is just loot.
Yeah,
now, this is extraordinary, that South Africans haven't kind of clicked.
You know, to my wife and I on Sunday watched Carte Blanche with these agricultural schools. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't.
Oh my God, you're lucky you did not. Sunday I couldn't. You know, I need sleeping tablets to sleep. And yesterday morning when I woke up in the morning before we get out of bed, you know, with my wife, how did you sleep? I said, I just could not sleep. They had to hold the image of those in the agricultural schools being looted. I mean, it's please, when you get a chance, just watch Carte Blanche. We look at what this ANC government has done to agricultural schools. And the thing is, for me, it's not really the looting. It is actually the lives of the youth that are being wasted. You can imagine someone goes to an agricultural school, enthusiastic young black kids wanting to really get into agriculture. They even go to an extent of actually enrolling at these colleges to really get the education. And how they waste their time. There's no training happening. They loot. It's actually evil. It's not criminal. It's honestly what I'm telling you with those facilities. It's worse than criminal. It is only evil people would really do something like this. Please, when you get a chance, get a clip of that. You will see how evil these people are.
But Herman, the big story at the moment is, yes, coalitions, and we can talk about that in a moment. I brought Knysna up because there's a coalition that seemed to be working. It went back to the old ways because one of the partners, the Patriotic Alliance, pulled the plug. Coalitions in Joburg, and you have come out strongly in favor of the Joburg mayor, and you supporting it, and it's holding for the moment. But post 2024, because that's the big story. It's a big story. We'll get back to Joburg, but 2024.
Yes.
The question mark many people have is, are you and those who are supporting a prosperous South Africa, certainly through the economic proposals, going to be strong enough when the ANC does a deal with the EFF? Because that's the big story at the moment.
Please, Alec,
help us.
Well, the picture you're painting, I hope it can just be a horror story. Let it be a horror movie. Let it not be reality.
A nightmare from which you wake up.
Yeah, no, please. Every time I think about it, the harder and resolute I have to really work to ensure that we can end up with the ANC and EFF way under 40%, because anywhere close to them buying other parties, because there's no doubt about it, ANC is going to be way below to 50%. They'll be lucky if they can be in the early 30s. But obviously we've got another challenge with the EFF. Will the two of them be able to form a government? Please, I dread it. I work hard because as much as I think sometimes we expect God's intervention, but we need to really put our lot. That's why I'm honestly working like a dog, ensuring that we can register as many South Africans as possible to be ready for the 2024 national and provincial elections. As you are aware, over 25 million South Africans who've given up on politics, who actually believe that they are nothing because ANC have rendered them to just life. So it's important for us as South Africans to register them, and I think that's why I'm go out every day, look for resources so that I can capacitate our structures throughout the country. At the moment, we've got about 180,000 volunteers, and majority of them are the matriculant, some of them university degrees in townships, in villages, in suburbs, to ensure that we can register as many people as possible, not to be members of ActionSA, just to registering with the IEC. That's the only way we can bring the ANC way even under 30%. If we succeed with that, and I strongly believe we're going to succeed, but obviously we need the resources, because all these guys, the volunteers, are unemployed, they're heartful, they want to do something. And the beauty now with the IEC, I hope the system shouldn't collapse deliberately, where we can register people, because it takes me 5 minutes or so to register someone who's given up on voting. Because once, for me, what is critical and actually inspiring for me is that our teams are managing to get people who had given up Within 10, 15 minutes, we've come out with a plan where we can actually empower these people. We get them to have their pride back, get them to actually realize how powerful their vote is. And those people, one thing for sure, they're not prepared to vote for the ANC because they know this is a corrupt organization. That's why they've given up. They look at the EFF. The EFF is a radical party. They look at the DA. This is a racist party. So they see no reason to vote for any of the parties. And now we are positioning ourselves, and we've demonstrated this with the recent local government election. Now we've got to take this nationally.
All right, so your strategy then to ward off the EFF ANC alliance, and it's happened in Knysna. We've had the EFF saying we will never get into bed with the ANC, but they've just done it. They've just done it this week.
Well,
and that's what's happened
They
now.
removed the speaker in Johannesburg, Johannesburg 2 weeks ago. But I think,
But you are perceived to be their friend.
Yeah, but Alec, to a large extent, the coalition, more especially in these 3 metros, where I put the DA in charge, because DA did not want these municipalities, because I'm determined not to get the ANC out of government.
Kuruleni
and Tshwane. I put the DA in this government. The biggest really enemy and partner in this is the DA. DA is very difficult the partner to work with. For some reason, the DA have got this belief that they have the highest moral authority. So everybody else must just really listen to them. And at the same time, we've got an ANC threat. We can't put the ANC back in government because ANC will immediately loot, like you've just indicated about what happened in Knysna. So you can imagine if they take over the city of Johannesburg again. And this is something we've been warning the DA so many over the last few months about the speaker. We are having very, very serious problems in Tshwane with the corruption that the DA is refusing to cooperate with us to expose this. And we are not going to give up on this. And that's really for South Africans to appreciate coalition government of political parties that are committed to good governance. We've got serious problems in Tshwane with you remember a few weeks ago, we refused openly. We did not stand on the fence that we are not going to support those reports of unsolicited bid. We're sitting with a problem in Tshwane right now. It's already now 3 months late for the mayor to come out with a forensic report of the appointment of Edwin Sodi's company.
I've got it, and I think we all know where you're coming from. But the electorate are saying, what's the point in voting for the opposition because they're squabbling? Surely these arguments that you have with the DA, and we know the DA is a vastly superior option, the Western Cape has shown us, to the ANC, to the incumbents. Surely these problems you have with them can be done in a more gentlemanly manner, perhaps
I think it's a propaganda that's been sold by the DA that these coalitions are not working. Alec, these coalitions are actually working. Now you can imagine if us as ActionSA or me as Herman Mashaba, I'm expected to support the DA when I see corruption. No ways. What we are saying is we're going to hold them accountable. Actually, that's the beauty of a coalition government where there's no buddy-buddy. So if South Africans are being misled by saying no, ActionSA is unfair by criticizing us openly, is because we engage them through our coalition agreement. They refuse openly. We've got signed agreements where we've agreed in advance on certain things that must be done. For an example, insourcing of our security people who are exploited by ANC tenderpreneurs. Then we signed the agreement. Afterwards, the DA says, no, we are not implementing this. Now we engage them behind the scene. They're refusing. The Hammanskraal water treatment plant tender, we have been saying, please, can you let us know how you appointed Blackett Consulting by Sodi? We had to, as ActionSA, come out with a motion with the government which we are a part of, to say, please, Give us the report. How come this man was given this tender? They are refusing to release this. Now tell me, what do you expect us to do? Must we keep quiet? I'm afraid not.
No, not keep quiet, but there are ways anyway.
No,
it's early days for South Africa.
No, there's no any way to
coalition governments are not going to be easy.
Yes,
but it isn't made easier when you're telling the electorate that you're squabbling.
No, it is propaganda by the DA, because they go out and tell people that you are unfairly treating them. I think, you know what, Alec, you as a media in particular, you have the responsibility to ensure that you support such action, because there's only way that this country can survive. If the media expect ActionSA to be part of corruption, that is not going to really happen.
Herman, there's no way you are going to be part of corruption. I know that, and certainly not the people that you have in your party as well. Athol Trollip as an example. Just to move forward, Fakie Mentor, who was again a great anti-corruption icon, who sadly has passed away. She was your Western Cape leader. Have you managed to replace her?
Watch the space. I've found an excellent candidate. I've committed to South Africans that I will announce the provincial chairperson by end of November. And yes, last night I actually had my convention, like our management meeting. It looks like I might have to really speed up the appointment of the provincial chair for the Western Cape. Next week, Monday, this time, we'll have a provincial chair for Northern Cape. And on 17th of October, you'll have KZN, and then the Western Cape last. So by end of this year, I'm committing to South Africa that ActionSA will have all 9 provincial chairpersons and heavyweights. When I mean heavyweights, I really mean it. You will just watch the space. Next week, Monday, I'm having a press conference in Kimberley at 11 o'clock. It's going to be broadcast live through our media platforms and other media, so you can watch. By next week, Tuesday, this time, you are going to, ActionSA is going to be formally represented by a provincial chairperson in the Northern Cape.
That's something that we never really touch on, but the fact is you can now talk to the people through the way that media has progressed over the past 10, 20 years. You can have a live press conference, not relying on the SABC. Or
yes, absolutely. We used to, until 2 weeks ago, we used to rely on hiring the equipment. We had to really buy our own equipment so that all our press conferences can be broadcast to the media. Live feed, you don't have to really send your own cameras, but you can have access to our live broadcast. And we bought our own equipment.
And that's got to be very constructive in the strategy that you've got, because your strategy, if I understand correctly, is just to get people registered. Get these unregistered South Africans who have given up, some of them, and some haven't bothered because they don't think their votes matter. If you can get them to the polling stations in 2024, then you believe that democracy's got a chance in South Africa. Am I reading you correctly?
Absolutely. It's exactly the plan that I've got. We, as ActionSA at the moment, we have 180 registered volunteers, and really mainly matriculants and some of them with university degrees who are unemployed. The only thing we must provide them is airtime. They are prepared to walk street by street, suburb by suburb, township, informal settlements. Their duty every day is to go out. It takes them, we've already trained them, it takes them within 15 minutes to convince someone who had given up on voting. When you first approach them, they'll tell you, politics, what must I vote for? If you don't manage to convince this person within 10 to 15 minutes, you don't have a chance. You forget about them. But one thing for sure, our success rate is over 60% right now. And obviously, with more resources that I can get, the more I can really ensure that I can really empower South Africans to really go out, make sure that we can register people. There's 25 million. I can tell you, look at it in practical terms. If I can get 25% of the 25 million, 25% plus you know, all the other parties are going to get a hiding from us. And we've already got a base of 2.4 million South Africans, because ActionSA was formed with a mandate, scientific mandate of 2.4. So we've got 2.4 million people already committed to vote for us in 2024. Scientifically, to a 2.4. Now, and these are registered ones. Now, can imagine if we then manage to really get 25% of this, and then obviously ANC, EFF, DA, they're going to get a big hiding. So then I actually always wonder, I see lately there are polls doing the rounds, pure propaganda. I don't know where they're working from.
Why are you not doing well in those polls, do you think?
No, why must I use polls when I can use my common sense? You know, this takes me back to 1984 when I decided I must start my cosmetic company. And the people who are always negative in life says, but have you got any scientific data? I said, but guys, I can see there's a huge market that's going to be there forever. And I took a chance. Everything else is history. I remember when I sold my business to Colgate, I sold 75% of my business to Colgate. For the first time to do a major research, cost us over 2 million rands. And we did spent probably another 3 or 4 million rands on producing a 30 seconds ad. Was the biggest failure of my life. And luckily 2 years later, I bought the business back, bought a bakkie that went all out. The first year, I made money, turned the business around using common sense. A few years later, one of our brands, I was still in the business, I said to the team, you know what, this is what you need to do. But since we don't have research, I said, what do you need the research for? Aren't we in the market every day? Aren't we talking to people and understanding what they do? This is actually one of the biggest brands in the country today. Not that I don't believe in research, but I believe more in common sense than research.
What's the feedback you're getting from those 180 young people who are converting?
Oh no, they're 180. These are volunteers.
They're volunteers. What's the reason? What are they telling you? Are the people who are signing up, are they going to vote for ActionSA?
No, yes. The beauty about the people who are converting to register with the IEC, for me, I said to them, I'm not that I'm not interested, but should not really be a priority to register people to be members of ActionSA. What for me is important is to register them with the IEC. I said, please, what you do when you approach a guy, don't talk to them about registering with it. Don't tell them about ActionSA. Educate them about the power of democracy and the power of their vote. I said, if you can do that, because once you tell them about the political party, people don't want anything to do with political party. Just educate them about democracy and the power of democracy in a democratic dispensation in South Africa. I can tell you, once you've registered them with the IEC, then it becomes easy, then they become members of ActionSA. Because these are the people who don't want anything to do with politics. So the biggest mistake you can make is to talk to them about ActionSA before registering them. So what you do, educate them about the power of democracy. That your vote as an individual is the most important thing that is going to change your life. Not political party. It's you, the voter.
What happened?
If you don't go out and vote, you're not going to change.
What happened in Zambia? Because Zambia, you know H.H. Ishilema.
Not personally, I'm just reading.
Muzi Maimani, your friend, is a very close friend of his. They know each other well. He did something there that was against all the odds, and he's now the president. And that country is going ahead in leaps and bounds. All the feedback we get is that the investment is starting to come into Zambia, that they are turning around from many years of abuse of an ANC-type government. What can you learn from them, or are you studying them yet, or your hands too full with everything else?
I think I've got a lot. Not that I know what other people are doing. I've been a student of history throughout my life. I read the books about and I follow the lives of successful people, the Lee Kuan Yews of this world. I mean, one African leader really admire deeply is Kagame in Rwanda. I mean, I admire that man enormously. I mean, the Lee Kuan Yew and so forth. You know, so obviously this guy in Zambia, from the little I've read, I believe he's doing some amazing stuff, but it's still early days. I can give you almost 25, 30 years of, or 28 years of the success of Rwanda. I don't know if you've been to Rwanda. I mean, it's a miracle. I started going into Singapore in the 80s. And you remember when Lee Kuan Yew took over that country in 1964? I don't have to really tell you. I mean, those are the people.
Well, he came in as a socialist and then changed his mind and turned it into an amazing country.
Into an amazing country. And lots of examples. I think for me, the Western countries, be United States, be the UK, I admire what has really transpired. Because if you look at what has happened in Europe. Actually, last night with my wife, because she did not have a chance to watch the funeral of the Queen. And so we started actually investigating when democracy actually started in the UK. Because I've always really known the success of that small island, which is honestly, it is the brain engine of the world. It's come from there. That nation did not really survive by luck. Education has been a key component of the success of the British. It's been the success of the Americas. So I think we need democracy. We don't really need dictatorship. We need to be in an environment where society can learn to hold politicians accountable. When you're not happy, go out and vote. That is really, for us as ActionSA, that's the strategy we are using. Obviously, I can't share it with you openly. There's on how we approach the voters to really have interest in politics. So one thing I can share with you is that when we want to convert you, you tell us you're not interested in politics. We don't tell you about ActionSA. We tell you about democracy and the power you as an individual can actually exercise in actually changing your life.
It's a powerful, powerful message that you are pulling out there. You've come an enormous way for outsiders. When I think back to the first BizNews conference, which is in March 2021, when you're going to come to the next conference, it'll be 2 years only. And it's almost like a completely different picture. Then you were talking about the theory, now you're talking about the practical.
And I've got a lot to share with you, evidence. I mean, I can really show you and share with you our electoral support. I think one thing that makes me so immensely proud is the electoral support.
So where are you now? If the election was held today, clearly you've got another 19 months, according to Rob Hersov. He says the election's on the 1st of May, 2024. But let's...
it's between the 1st of May and if the president has got a 90-day leeway. So
90-day. Okay.
So it'll be, so it's not specifically that day. So.
But 19 months from now, we'll have an election.
Yeah, in 2024, this time, would have had South Africa will have a new government, and we convince at this rate, ActionSA is going to emerge as the second biggest political party in the country.
Second behind the ANC.
Yeah, second behind the ANC.
At what kind of number?
And if the ANC keeps on scoring their own goals with the pala, the money laundering, with stage 8 load shedding, presents excellent opportunities for us. But I'm fearful of the country collapsing before we get to the next election. That is really my biggest fear, because it really looks to me, if you look at the destruction of our infrastructure and our economy by the ANC, because they are aware that they are collapsing. So we have to avoid a situation where, as they collapse, they must not collapse with the country. So we believe ActionSA is going to emerge without any doubt as the second biggest political party.
Can you call, or can you motivate, or why haven't you motivated for an early election? If you're fearful over what's going to happen over the next 2 years, say, before we get to a point where there is a different government in the way you're seeing it, is there any way that one can motivate for an election?
You can motivate it, but it'll just be a political rhetoric, because there's no way ANC will. There's no way. I mean, it'll be politicking, because there's no way ANC is going to accept that.
Tell me about post-December, or what you expect to happen at the elective conference in December. There are those who say they want to see Cyril being replaced by Nkosazana Zuma, because that will mean the destruction of the ANC in 2024. Do you share that?
Well, my view, and has always been my view for many years, if you look at an opinion piece I wrote in 2017, I think a month or so before Cyril was elected, warning the ANC delegates that for them to elect Cyril Ramaphosa will be the biggest mistake that the ANC can make. And unfortunately, they went ahead. And I also then warned the electorate in 2019, also I think about 2 or 3 weeks before the elections, warning the voters. I said, you vote this man in, I'm telling you, 18 to 24 months later, you'll be asking for Jacob Zuma to come back. And look at it right now. Cyril has proven to really be the worst president ever. So for me, honestly, whoever ANC elect as their next president, it doesn't matter, because they're all the same. There's no yes, in practice, there's different factions of the ANC, but they're all the same. And all of them are for access just to state resources. Whether it's Cyril or Jacob Zuma or Nkosazana or is William Mkhize, all of them, it's about state resources. So for us as ActionSA, that's not an issue. We don't care. Honestly, as far as I'm concerned, I don't care who gets elected. Our focus is to talk to the South African voters to realize that we need to remove this criminal enterprise called ANC out of government.
Herman Mashaba, the founder and leader of ActionSA, and I'm Alec Hogg from BizNews.com.